changing internally, your relationships, identity, and entire emotional world often begin changing too. And sometimes, becoming more aligned with yourself can feel surprisingly lonely. Welcome back to Beyond the Script. I'm Ali Christos, and today I want to talk about something I think many people quietly experience during periods of healing, awakening, and personal transformation: the loneliness of becoming a different person. Because growth is often romanticized online. People talk about healing, awakening, transformation, and becoming your authentic self. But very few people talk honestly about the grief, emotional isolation, and identity confusion that can come with it. I think one of the first things that happens during deep growth is internal change. Your priorities begin to change, your nervous system changes, your emotional awareness changes, what you tolerate changes, what feels meaningful changes, and eventually, the version of you that once fit certain environments, relationships, or identities no longer fully exists in the same way. One of the strangest feelings is realizing that old versions of yourself no longer feel emotionally true. The people-pleasing version, the hyper-independent version, the constantly performing version, the emotionally suppressed version. And while part of you may feel relieved to let those identities go, another part grieves them, because even unhealthy identities can still feel familiar. I think one of the most painful parts of growth is realizing that some relationships were built around older versions of yourself, versions that stayed quiet, overgave, avoided conflict, suppressed emotions, or abandoned themselves to maintain connection. And as people begin healing, certain dynamics naturally begin changing. Not because anyone is bad, but because authenticity changes relationships. I honestly think many people experience emotional isolation during awakening because the things they once related to no longer resonate the same way. Certain conversations feel empty, certain environments feel draining, certain priorities no longer feel aligned. And suddenly, people feel caught between who they were and who they're becoming. I think growth can feel lonely because healing often requires stepping away from familiar emotional patterns, and the nervous system naturally fears unfamiliarity. Even if the old version of life was painful, it was predictable. So growth can create this strange emotional tension. Part of you wants expansion, while another part misses the comfort of familiarity. I've experienced periods where my inner world changed faster than my external world. Moments where old motivations faded, old relationships shifted, old identities stopped fitting. And honestly, there were periods where that felt emotionally disorienting. Because when people evolve deeply internally, they often temporarily feel less understood by the people around them. I think there's a form of grief many people don't talk about enough: the grief of outgrowing old versions of yourself, old relationships, old dreams, old identities, or old ways of living. And sometimes healing involves mourning who you thought you needed to be. But I also think something beautiful eventually happens. As people stop performing old identities, they slowly begin reconnecting with themselves more honestly. Their intuition, their emotions, their truth, their boundaries, their authenticity. And while growth may temporarily create loneliness, it also creates the possibility of more genuine connection. Maybe the loneliness you feel inside isn't you losing yourself. Maybe it's a sign you're finally becoming someone more real. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared this with someone who may need it. And if you want to follow the journey, you can find me on Instagram at Beyond the Script Show. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of Beyond the Script.